Conservative Party has been compromised and corrupted so much we can't even tell the difference between them and the other progressive parties. And in my heart, they've united against the very people that they're said to represent. On our watch, they've taken God out of every institution and the public square. They've perverted our culture to one of absolute permissiveness, blurring the lines between what is morally right and wrong. They've invaded our lives with divisive rhetoric, intentionally misleading media, and outright deception. They've censored our free speech, they've isolated the dying, they've closed our churches, and they've showed no regard for human dignity against our most treasured cornerstone of our society, our seniors. They've silenced our voices, and there was no one to stand for truth and righteousness.
For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini here with a local Ontario Party candidate, Vanessa Head, in the riding of Northumberland-Peterborough-South. We are at a small private event hosted, obviously, as you complete the campaign trail here for the Ontario election coming at the end of this week. Vanessa, tell us a little bit about who you are and where you've come from. I understand that you're not sort of this lifelong politician.
No, I would just actually qualify myself as a regular Jane citizen. I've just been watching what's been happening in our province, and I have not liked what I've been seeing, the abuse of our government on our rights, and I just feel passionate that I needed to get involved.
The Freedom Convoy, God bless them, released the Canadian people to finally stand up and find their voices again. Then I began to observe what the Ontario Party was building, and I recognized that we shared the same values. So I decided I wanted to be part of their vision. But let's be clear, I am just a regular Jane citizen, just like you. But I could no longer watch what was happening and do nothing. So when they put out the call for candidates to be considered, I put up my hand. This is my first election, and 2 years ago I had no aspirations to take on this role. But the longer I watched my fellow citizens being abused, the more a passion burned inside of me that I had to do something.
And I really enjoyed what she had to say. The fact that she's just a plain Jane, as she says, but that she's here to serve the people. Unfortunately, I think a lot of what happens with politicians is they start out humble and then something happens. I'm not quite sure what, but they're transformed into a person that I can't even recognize often.
I love our country, and I've been deeply troubled to see the true north strong and free become something that we don't even recognize. Much like you, I've witnessed and been subjected to the absolute trampling of our rights, the attacks on our families, our freedom, and our faith. I've seen the crushing devastation on my neighbors, my friends, and my family.
So I think that it's important that parents are recognized as the first educator of their children. And certainly one aspect would be that ideological teaching doesn't belong in the school system. Those kinds of things should be coming from their family. And we have looked at the $12,500 that we are spent in funding in education per student per year. And the Ontario Party will allow that money to follow the child. So that will give the parents an opportunity to decide what institution is best for their child to learn. And the money will follow the child as opposed to the double jeopardy.
Ontario Party is a new party, and so I wanted to give her an opportunity. I'm kind of a people gatherer, so I wanted to give her an opportunity to just speak to people and let them know that there's more than just the typical parties that we're running, because they all seem to be the same, and there just doesn't seem to be that much vocal opposition to things.
I will seek to understand the real concerns of Ontarians, and I will work diligently to represent your interests. But I submit myself to the role of servant of the public, and I will rely on the grace of God to help me humbly represent my fellow citizens. And I know what some of you may be thinking. This candidate has no prior political experience. But it has been said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It's time that we acknowledge that the Conservative Party has been infiltrated and compromised to no longer reflect the values of true conservatives. We've had the established politicians at the helm long enough, and they no longer serve the citizens of this province.
I guess I said it down there. I'm hoping that that between the Ontario Party and maybe the New Blue, that there's enough people in the legislature to speak against things that I believe have been totally abusive and wrong on the part of government. And so I'm just praying that, God will give us some people that will stand up for our rights and our freedom.
In my mind, you have two choices. You can vote for the established politicians who have demonstrated that their loyalty is to the global agenda, or you can take your chances on me, your fellow citizen, who has lived through the pain of the past 2 years alongside you and who knows your suffering. So if you believe in your heart that we need to return our society to strong moral values, if you're alarmed at the government overreach, if you know in your heart that we've been deceived by our elected officials, if you, like me, see an abuse of power and a delirious hunger for more control, if you believe in the values that we've laid out in our party charter, and most importantly, if you wish to leave your children and grandchildren a free and beautiful future, then you must vote with your conscience. You must cast your ballot for the party that unashamedly stands for truth, freedom, faith, family, and will restore righteousness and justice to our province. And I say God bless you, and may God bless Ontario. Thank you.
Well, I have to say, as a regular Jane citizen, this is an undertaking that I didn't anticipate. It's been an exciting time. I have several things left to wrap up, and I would say I'd leave the outcome entirely in the hands of God, and let it be what it will be. And if I am elected, then there's going to be a whole new chapter to begin.
All right. Well, thank you. And I think it's Ontario Party. Tell our viewers where they can find out more if they don't already know about the Ontario Party.
OntarioParty.ca is our website. I would recommend you read the party charter, and then you can look into more specifically the details on each issue.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Vanessa. And there you have it, the Ontario Party candidate for Northumberland-Peterborough-South, Vanessa Head. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. If you like this report, and maybe you would also enjoy our paywalled content, you can sign up at rebelnewsplus.com to gain exclusive access to in-depth, full-length shows and hear the latest discussions around global happenings. Sign up today at rebelnewsplus.com.